So this morning, Friday morning, there was a big buzz when I popped into Twitter that Aaron Nolan was no longer with the team. And I could not find the news that everybody was talking about anywhere. And then I heard somebody say it was on Bucknuts. So I went to Bucknuts and I did not see this headline anywhere. Um, so I dismissed it. And then later on in the evening, Ohio State tweeted their picture from camp. Uh, the guy's working out, and prominently in the three pictures that they tweeted was Aaron Nolan with a huge smile on his face. Clearly, still with the team. And then people were ragging on Bucknuts and their credibility and what a joke it was. I go, what the hell is? Get somebody tell me where this was and why everybody keeps saying Bucknuts had this. I did not see this at all. I went to Bucknuts. So then I was sent this article right here, and I'm going to pull this article up so we can take a look at it together. Okay, so here's the post here. Unfortunately, we have learned through multiple sources that true freshman quarterback Aaron Nolan is not with the team right now for personal reasons. Now, the good news is that he has the backing of Ryan Day and is expected back at some point. More good news is that the Buckeyes just kicked off their summer conditioning program with Mick Marotti this week. However, a source does not expect Nolan back in Columbus next week. No, I would be shocked if that happens, the source said. He'll probably be down in Georgia for a while. Getting himself right is the most important thing here. And from a football standpoint, let's be honest, he wasn't going to play this year anyway. He would have been fifth on the depth chart, maybe fourth if he would have surpassed Lincoln. It's funny to hear fans refer to the spring game and how Aaron Nolan outperformed Julian Sayin. Yeah, well, maybe he did, but ask anyone on the team who was by far the better quarterback throughout spring, and they would say Sayin for sure over Air. It's been an interesting few months for Nolan since he joined the program in January. He is a talented quarterback who seems to be very well liked by his teammates, but there was also an incident in February where he was late to a meeting with the quarterbacks and running backs. Then a few days later, when he and a few teammates were signed up to volunteer for a food drive, he was considerably late to that too. The coaches were less than pleased about both situations. Okay, what we got here is a fine print situation. Always read the fine print before you go spouting about on social media that you read something somewhere, because at the bottom of this page it reads this: disclaimer: the house is a place for rumors and gossip and innuendo. We don't treat it as inside information like some people do. Yet you guys love to hear the good stuff. To do that, we have to disclaim we don't know if any of this is true, not attribute it to any particular source, not attribute it to any particular reporter. So essentially, they're saying right off the rip, this could totally be nonsense. We don't stand behind this journalistically. And it's also behind a paywall, I'm told. So it's for subscribers behind a paywall. They straight up say it's gossip and you like to hear gossip. And we don't know if any of it's true. But Bucknuts is getting absolutely roasted because the Ohio State media team put out the picture of Air at practice or at conditioning. So that doesn't necessarily mean it's not true. It could still be true. We don't know that yet. I don't think it is, but is it? It's difficult, right? Like if you put stuff out like that, I guess you can expect to get roasted. But it is behind a paywall. And at the same time, when you say listen, we don't really stand behind this journalistically, but then you put this at top on the top here. One entry was Jaden Ricketts showed up at Ohio State camp last year and ran a blazing 40 time. Expectations are he'll duplicate that, but be more of a force during one-on-ones. And then you put yesterday, Ricketts camped at Ohio State. He now has an Ohio State offer. The BH strikes again. So you're essentially touting the accuracy of this, right? You're bragging that you nailed one from last week, and then saying, but also we don't stand behind this. I don't know. You're getting into a little bit of a fuzzy area there for me. But is Aaron Nolan with the team? Can someone confirm this? Because if so, I would really love to know. There's still speculation that that picture might be old and that Ohio State, man, I know. I need to stay off Twitter. I get it. I get it. It is entertaining, though. It is entertaining. And that's what we're doing on the weekend show. We're just here to have fun. So, the quarterback situation. Listen, I mean, if I was Aaron Noland, and when you think about this whole thing with Aaron Noland, I'd be a salty dude, right? You'd be pretty salty too, I'd imagine. I've heard nothing else of this situation other than from that there, though. You'd think we'd have probably heard about it by now if there was any truth to it. But there is some truth in that story. Obviously, just reading between the lines from everything that we watched from spring camp, yes, Julian Sayin was definitely better than Aaron Noland. And, Air did look really good. Looked like a real gamer in the spring game. He did, man. I was happy for him because, he was clearly fifth all spring. And he really seemed to ball out. Looked like a playmaker. And it felt good watching him out there making some plays. On top of that, the situation he was in from the beginning, getting Sayin in that class when he was expecting to be the only quarterback, and then Sayin coming in and getting all this hype about how amazing he was during spring. Couldn't have felt good for our guy Air. That's for sure. Could not have felt good. Then you got the stories floating around that you're having issues, whatever those were. And nobody ever pinpointed what those were, but I heard several people say, Air's having a tough time. Don't know what that meant. Still don't know what that meant. But you never know what's going to happen next year. It's going to be a really interesting situation if Devin stays, which I think he will. You're going to have a quarterback battle between Devin, Lincoln, Julian, and Air. Can we just imagine this for a second? You also got Tavian coming in as a freshman. But Devin Brown now would be going into his third straight starting quarterback competition, 2 years of eligibility left, potentially having shown us in 2024 a whole lot on the field. Because I expect Devin to play plenty this year. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you expect Devin to play plenty? I would expect it's not going to need to be a serious blowout before Devin gets time in games. I think in certain scenarios, it may be a 14-point game and Devin will be in there. I could be wrong, but I feel like Day really wants to work him in and integrate him into the offense, not just in mop-up duty, but, third quarter, Buckeyes are up by 14. Let's give Devin a couple series now. It feels like that's the way that he might want to go here to me. And I'm here for it, man. There's definitely an injury chance. I want Devin to be as experienced as possible. And maybe coming in situations like that in spot duty gets him more relaxed, makes him feel, we've still never seen this. And I always need to remind myself, we've still never seen this guy play a full game. And I don't write him off a bit. I really don't. I think he's got big talent and big ability. And maybe Devin comes in games where it's still crucial. He still needs to perform. 14 points in late in the third quarter. Bucks are up by 14. He comes in. He needs to perform. He doesn't need to be Superman, but he needs to manage the offense, get him settled in. I think it'd be a good strategy. And I kind of get the feeling that that's what the plan is outside of big games. It would be cool to see. But what do you got next year then? You got Devin coming back, somewhat experienced. Let's say he doesn't totally ball out. Let's say he does solid. And then you've got Dev, Julian, Lincoln, and Air. What are we thinking in that situation here? Let's handicap the race. In that scenario, I've still got Julian as the favorite. And I'm not just basing that on how I feel about Julian. I'm basing that the same way I based the Ryan Day hot seat situation. I'm basing that on what the boss thinks. And I think in this situation, the boss is absolutely enamored with Julian Sayin. We heard him talk last week about the quarterbacks, and he said They're pretty much all the same except Julian, and I still don't know what he was talking about there. How is Julian different from those other four guys? As far as skills, we're talking about these guys. None of them are run first guys. They're all pass first guys. I think that Lincoln and Air are probably the most athletic, but they're still looking to throw first. Will's a really good runner and very athletic, but more of a physical style runner. DB and Julian, these guys are more gunslingers, but they can extend the play with their athleticism. Really nice pocket passers. I get the impression that some people think Julian is a bit of a stiff athletically. He's not. He's an absolute playmaker. But, we know that. We've watched him here. But how is Sayin different? Did we catch Ryan Day slipping there? Did he say the quiet part he was thinking out loud? Am I crazy for thinking that? I kind of think that what he meant was Julian's different because Julian's amazing and he's a way better passer than the rest of them. I kind of think so, guys. I really do. I know it's crazy, but I think we might have caught him slipping there. I think he said what he thinks all the time and what he says behind closed doors to the other coaches out loud. Let's watch a little Julian Sayin. This pocket awareness is fantastic. Obviously, we know his balls are fantastic. He extends plays beautifully. Look at that. Look at this dude. Hey, man, listen. This is no stiff athletically. This guy can move. Throws on the run beautifully. I mean, every one of his highlights, he's moving. The different arm angles. He's got it all he's the modern day prototype, really, aside from a couple of inches and a couple of pounds. Man, you guys got to see Brady Edmonds. Oh my gosh. The Buckeyes offered Brady Edmonds yesterday, class of 2027. This dude, 6'5", 200, another California kid, but his grandpa's from Cuyahoga Falls, the city right next over. I'm 10 minutes from Cuyahoga Falls. And they're Buckeye fans from California. Came to camp, absolutely loves the Buckeyes, wants to play quarterback in the Big Ten. His arm is disgusting. It's crazy. Let's have a look at what Tom Luganbill thinks of Brady Edmonds' arm. This is the guy that he was at camp last year at Ohio State, again this year. Big Ohio State fan. Berm said that his dad said on his phone, his goals like 3 years ago said play for Ohio State. So the kid loves Ohio State. I did some digging on him, and this is what Loogie had to say about him.
Scott's take on a 2027 class quarterback named Brady Edmonds out of Huntington Beach, California. Now, I must say this is a pure arm strength appreciation post, and I've included some overlapping video here of him at our Under Armour camp at Mission Viejo High School so you can really get a sense of how the ball jumps off of his arm. It's as if he's got a cannon registered to his shoulder. It carries, it finishes, tremendous velocity, actually some pretty good body quickness and twitchiness from Edmonds for a kid that comes in at 6'6", 205 pounds. Just watch the arm strength, man. I mean, it's crazy how the ball comes out of this dude's hand and where he can take it. Pretty impressive.
high probability that this dude could be the number one overall quarterback when they get around to doing that. He's too young right now. They haven't done that yet. Um, I got his high school film from his freshman year loaded up, ready to go when we want to watch it. Wow, serious wow. And he is absolutely enamored with Brian Day. Uh, he said he's kind of thinking about Ohio State, Michigan. He likes Texas, but he says he definitely wants to play in the Big Ten. And he's named Brady after Tom Brady because his dad grew up in Boston rooting for the Pats. So named Brady after Tom Brady. But they're all Buckeye fans. So